What's up, you cool cats and kittens? Zachariah here. I'm testing out a new angle. Hope you like it. Figured, if this was a guitar channel, I should really put the guitars in the frame. So here we are. Today, I want to look at a budget fuzz pedal that is really amazing. And it's a little bit different than some other budget fuzz pedals in that it's not just a fuzz face or a big muff copy, it's actually a tone bender. That's right, it's a Mark 1.5 2 transistor style of fuzz. It's based on that circuit, and it gives you some awesome controls like the control over the voltage bias of the transistors inside, which I think is great, and it additionally gives you a fat switch to really beef up those sounds. And that pedal is the one, the only, the special, the JHS 3 Series Fuzz. That's right, this thing looks clean and mean, but it definitely is not clean sounding. It definitely sounds very mean, very aggressive. It's awesome. In this video, we're going to do a dive into some of the sounds that this pedal can create, and we'll also do an overview of the build quality and see if it is worthy. Is a $99 JHS pedal worth your bucks? Let's find out. So the first thing I want to do is cover the I/O and the controls on this pedal. So and then I'm not going to do a history lesson on the tone bender. There's tons of other people that have done it, so just go watch one of those videos on it. JHS has done lots of videos. Rhett Scholl, that pedal show, all those people have done lots and lots of videos. There's tons of creators who have done it, so I'm not going to waste your time with that stuff. So the 3 Series by JHS is JHS's affordable line. These pedals were introduced somewhere in 2021. So what's cool about the 3 Series pedals by JHS is they all have 3 knobs, so that hence the 3 Series. So there are 2 overdrives, 1 fuzz, 2 reverbs, a delay, a compressor. I think there's some modulation too. There's like a chorus and a flanger and a phaser, I think. Go check the JHS website and for sure. These pedals are really simple. They're all mono. They all take 9 volts of DC power in the back, just like most pedals do, or on the top, with a center negative 9 volt DC power supply. They all don't require very much current, low current, so under 100 milliamps of current needed. Especially for the fuzz, which does not need very much. It's very simple. I love the really clean graphics with the little lines on there, kind of telling you what everything is and what everything does. And the pedal is really simple. We just have an input on this side, input jack, 1/4 inch input jack, 1/4 inch output jack, 9 volt power in. You have volume, bias, and fuzz, and then a little fat switch. So holidays, New Year. It's just that simple. And then, of course, an on-off foot switch. It's actually not too loud. It's quieter than some. For instance, I have a Cran by Electro Harmonics, and this one's crisper, snappier, but this one's a little more stealthy. Of course, foot switch sound is probably not the thing that you came here to listen to. So let me explain the controls briefly, and then I'll explain kind of, we'll do some analysis afterwards. I've owned this pedal for a long time, so I can talk about it all I want, even though you may not have heard it before. So the volume control it's pretty self-explanatory what that does. So that's just going to control the overall output volume. Now, I do find that fuzz pedals in general sometimes don't have the most output, and I usually find that I have to crank the output to like here, to like 1 to 3 o'clock to get to unity, and then there's a little bit left over for boosting. It depends on the guitar you're playing, but I think this is due to fuzzes, either lopping off certain frequencies, or adding a whole bunch of other frequencies. And so in order for you to get back to what you think is unity, you might be thinking unity at 1 kilohertz or unity at 80 hertz. And for some of these pedals like this one that cut off the bottom end, or for other pedals that cut off the mids, you might go, I'm just not getting enough level. So there's not a ton of level on tap, but there is enough to push your amp over the edge if it's set at edge of breakup. So I was able to do that with my ACS-1. I haven't really played it through my Ampeg tube amp. that much. The next knob is the fuzz knob. Well, it's the one over here. And this takes the pedal from basically nothing, and then it starts getting fuzzier, and more saturated kind of in the back half of the knob rotation. And this really gives, allows the fuzz, allows you to dial in how much fuzz there is. Although personally, I just like to crank it all the way up. That's what I like. The bias knob is probably the most fun knob on the pedal. It allows you to starve the transistors of voltage. Now this does reduce the volume a little bit, but it changes the character of the fuzz from open and furry to more Velcro-like and gated. And so it gets progressively more and more gated. Now I do wish there was more output volume on tap, because if I have the volume set here and I start rotating that bias past noon, it's going to drop the output volume. I would really love it if the output volume could be increased, so that when I have the bias set to like here, I can still leave the volume. I still have some headroom to increase the volume. But you'll find that just as you increase the bias, the volume goes down a little bit. It's not a huge deal, but it would be nice. It's a nicety, not a necessity. So, and then that leaves the fat switch. So the fat switch, I believe it changes input capacitors, so it allows more low end to come into the circuit. Now this is going to change the character of the fuzz quite a bit. Tone benders, unlike fuzz faces, have a lot of bottom end, or do not have a lot of bottom end. They lop off the bottom, the low frequencies, and they kind of focus in on the mids. They're very punchy, aggressive fuzzes, and I like that because it really works well for solos or for riffs when you don't want it to just sound like a big fart. That's what tone benders are great for. They cut. But some people find that they cut off too much low end, so you have this toggle switch. You can flick it on up, and it adds some nice bottom end to the sound. It doesn't sound all constricted to the mid-range. You have more low end to kind of fill out those low frequencies. The thing is that it kind of changes the character of the distortion, though. The distortion of the fuzz becomes a lot less punchy and aggressive, and it becomes much more loose and farty. So it's a little bit more fuzz face like when you have the fat switch engaged. Now, speaking of fuzz faces, a lot of people look at the 3 Series fuzz and they go, okay, it's 2 transistor, it's cheap, it has a fuzz and a bias knob, it must be a fuzz face. That's not the case, and I've seen some misinformation online, so I'm here to put it straight. It does not behave like a fuzz face, and Joshua Heath Scott did not design it like a fuzz face, or whoever at JHS designed it. It's actually based on the tone bender, and you can tell it's based on a tone bender by the way it is. And it doesn't clean up like a fuzz face, unfortunately. So if you are hoping for that kind of great volume cleanup that fuzz faces are known for, you should just go get a fuzz face. You can get the Dunlop fuzz face minis for $100, and I personally loved the fuzz face mini. I had the Jimi Hendrix one, the like teal one, and that thing was freaking great. I love that JHS didn't just go the route of stuffing a big muff or a fuzz face into their entry-level fuzz pedal, because that's what I would have done. And I think that it's kind of unique that they chose to go this route, which most other manufacturers would not. Overall sound quality, I do love this pedal. I think it works great. It's maybe not the world's most interesting sounding fuzz, but it is a lot of fun. And that bias knob really lets you just dial in just how much spitty, gaty, fuzz that there is, and it really is a lot of fun. The fat switch just gives you more control, and it makes it even more spitty and Velcro-y when you have the fat switch, and then you start, playing with the fat switch and the bias. I will say though, the build quality is great. The knobs feel good. They're press on, but they're really dang hard to get on and off. So, yeah, that's a good thing, I guess. I like the 3 Series knobs. They're kind of fun. They're different from the other JHS, this kind of standard JHS kind of cupcake knobs, kind of. The switch is well anchored, both switches. They're well put together. They don't have a washer on the top, which I thought was kind of odd. Let's see if the camera can get that. I would have liked to see a washer there, but again, these are the more affordable series, so I can't really fault them. They do have washers underneath the potentiometer nuts, so that's fine. The 9-volt power jack is mounted directly to the PCB, but it's very secure. There's a lot of surface mount components inside, but just remember, surface mount components are not worse. They're just harder to repair. There are through-hole components like the potentiometers, the switches, and the power jack. But the main components in this are surface mount, which it speeds up the manufacturing process. It makes these pedals affordable. It makes them available, and that's what I love. Is you can't complain that JHS pedals are unobtainable anymore because these are $99. So I love that. This pedal's been awesome. It's been on and off my board for a while, and I've loved it as just a straight ahead, rock, just straight ahead fuzz. It just sounds great. The fat switch and the bias knob just give you that extra flexibility, and I don't really see a lot wrong with it. So pros, let's go into pros and cons, and we'll get you on your way. It's already too long. Pros, I love the clean design. I love the uniform look across the line of the pedals. I'm a big fan of that, and I love it. I love that it just says fuzz up here. It doesn't, there's not some cryptic logo or any weird stuff, and I like the cool little, lines on there that you can see, maybe. Build quality is very good. I don't really see a lot wrong with it. I do wish some components were mounted to the case, like the power jack. I always love it when the power jack is mounted to the case instead of just to the circuit board. But, everything else is done well. The jacks are nice. The internals look fine too. Cons. Without the fat switch in, it's going to sound pretty thin in the bottom end, but that's the point of a tone bender, of course. They're going to do that. The fat switch takes the perceived gain goes down because you need more power to go into that low end, to overdrive that low end. So I kind of wish that there was also a gain bump when you flicked on the fat switch but whatever. I get it that it's a kind of a more budget pedal. Output volume. I wish there was more, but that's just me. I always wish there was more output volume on most drive pedals. And that's kind of it. Oh, another pro is that it has a nice small enclosure. Take a look at this Electro-Harmonix Cran, which is from their Nano series. These cases, dare I say it, are very similar, if not the same case. Wait, look at that. Look at the way that the case comes around the jack at the back. Yeah, the dimensions on these are like the same. The only difference is the way that the input and output jacks are. So on here, the case has a slot that goes all the way through the bottom for the output jacks. And on the JHS pedal, they're in a different spot and there's no slot, so it's just a hole. So that's really fascinating. Obviously, the other holes are in different spots, but they must be using the same case, people, which isn't a bad thing. It's great that we share stuff. But what I was getting at was that it's smaller than, your average Boss pedal. Here's a BF2 from Taiwan, green label. You can see with the screw included, it's quite a bit shorter. It's going to be more compact. So I love the ultra compact size. Maybe a con for some is that it doesn't have a good battery door, and I don't think it can accept batteries. But really, what more could you ask from a $99 Tonebender Mark 1.5 replica? I personally can't think of anything, so. All right, I'll see you in the next one.